Hello everybody, and thank you so much for watching. Today we will make this beautiful blouse. It has a large gorgeous scoop neck and a drop shoulder sleeve. The easy and fast stitch we will be using is the corkscrew shell stitch. We'll crochet a clever invisible seam. And here are some of my measurements. My blouse is a medium size, and I will show you in the video how to customize it so it fits you. Here's the hook and yarn information. I'm using 1 skein of this number 1 super fine yarn. Let's get started. Put a slip knot on your hook and then chain 180. I made my chain of 180, and now I will go carefully back to the beginning of the chain and make sure it's not twisted. Then turn your chain on its head, turn it over like that without twisting it, and go into the bottom loop of the chain. So I have 2 pieces of yarn of the chain on my hook, and then I make a slip stitch, sort out all these loose ends here, sorry about that, slip stitch into the first chain, and then start round 1 with a chain of 3 for a double crochet. And then I like to go into all of the bottom loops of the chain, so there's 2 loops of the chain on the hook, and I make double crochet into all of those bottom loops. I made 180 chains, so at the end of this round, including with the chain of 3 that I made in the beginning for the double crochet, I will have 180 double crochet. I made my 180 doubles. Now let's finish round 1. Go in between the chain of 3 in the first double crochet, right in between those posts, and pull your slip stitch through that space. And start round 2. Chain 3, then yarn over twice and make a front post treble around the chain of 3 right below where you just chained 3. Front post treble around that chain of 3. So we have the chain of 3 behind that front post treble crochet, then go right next to it into that space in between the front post treble and the first double crochet into that space right around the chain, and make 3 trebles into that space. 1, 2, and 3. So we have 3 trebles into that same space in between the front post and the first double. Let's repeat. Yarn over twice, skip 2 doubles, and make your front post treble crochet around the 3rd double crochet. And the 3 trebles right next to it, in between the front post treble and the next double crochet into that space. 1, 2, and 3. And that's already our repeat. Now we can make this pattern all the way around. Skip 2 doubles, front post treble around the 3rd double, and 3 trebles next to it. At the end of this round, I will have 60 of these shell stitches. This is how we're looking after round 2. Now let's start round 3. Let's finish the round with a slip stitch in between the chain of 3 and the front post treble crochet. So pull a slip stitch behind that post. We can start round 3 again with a chain of 3 and a front post treble around the previous front post treble crochet. So the chain is behind the front post treble again. Let's take a look. Here are our previous treble crochet 1, 2, 3, and we go next to those again in between the front post treble and the first treble crochet, and we make 3 trebles into that space again. 1, 2, and 3. So we're repeating exactly the same round as in round 2. Skip those 3 treble crochet and make your next front post treble around the previous front post treble. And next to it, the 3 treble crochet. 1, 2, and 3. I will repeat those shell stitches 60 times, the front post treble around the previous one, and 3 trebles right next to it. We can finish round 3 again with a slip stitch in between the chain and a front post treble, and start round 4 with our chain of 3 and a front post treble around the previous front post treble. Now we will make a little bit of an increase with 1 chain, just 1 chain, and now we can repeat our pattern. Next to that front post treble crochet, make your 3 treble crochet, 1, 2, and 3. And that's our new pattern already. We can skip to the next front post treble, make our front post treble around that, then 1 chain for the increase and 3 trebles next to it. Here we are after round 4, and we can crochet around 5, 6, 7 and 8 exactly the same way. We make our slip stitch, chain 3, front post treble around the previous one, chain 1, and then next to it, into that space, we make 3 treble crochet. Front post treble around the next front post treble, chain 1, 3 trebles next to it. Please crochet around 5, 6, 7 and 8 in this way. Here's how we're looking after round 8. In round 9, 10 and 11, we will make a small increase again, make a slip stitch, chain 3 and make your front post treble around the previous one, and now we chain 2, 1 and 2, and then we can make our 3 trebles again into the space next to the treble crochet. So please make 2 chains in round 9, 10 and 11. Here's how the yoke looks after round 11. In round 12, 13, 14 and 15, we will make 4 treble crochet, make the slip stitch, chain 3 and make your front post treble, chain 2 again, and now we will make 4 treble crochet into our little space, 1, 2, 3, 4. So really easy, that's the only difference. Skip to the next front post treble, make your front post treble, chain 2 and make 4 trebles into the space next to it. So of course in the future rounds we have to skip 4 treble crochet to get to our next front post treble crochet. You want to crochet your yoke long enough so the bottom edge extends with some positive ease, about 2 to 3 inches, and the underarm chain doesn't pinch you when we crochet it. Here's how my blouse looks. If you need a longer yoke, you can add 2 or 3 rounds without increase because of the way the blouse falls over the shoulder. If you feel like you need to make an increase, you can add another chain and make 3 chains after the front post treble crochet. But remember, this will add 60 more chains to your circumference. Now we can divide our blouse into front, back and arm spaces. I have 15 shells for the front and 15 shells for the back and 15 empty shells each for the arm spaces. And you can play around with those spaces. For a smaller blouse, you can make 14 shells for the front and back and leave 16 shells empty for the arms. For a bigger blouse, you can make 16 shells for the front and back and leave 14 shells empty for the arms. And we also have our underarm chain in multiples of 7, which adds an inch for every multiple. I want my blouse to have a circumference of 38 inches. Our front and back are the same, so I can just take half, that's 19 inches. My 15 shells are 17 inches and I add 14 chains, remember multiples of 7, for the underarm space. So now I have my 19 inches, half of 38. Now we can start a new round with our regular pattern and I crocheted my 15 shells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I will chain 14 for the underarm space, remember multiples of 7. You can chain only 7 for a smaller space or 21 if you need a larger space, but I will chain 14. Each chain of 7 is about 1 inch long, so about as long as 1 shell. I made 14 chains, so that's 2 shells long. 21 chains would be 3 shells long, and so on. Now I will skip the 15 shells that I counted out. Don't accidentally count this one. Those 2 right here belong together. Skip over the next front post right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that's the front post right here that I have to crochet around. Front post treble crochet. And then I will chain 2. If you increase to 3 chains, chain 3. I will chain only 2. And then we'll make our usual pattern, the 4 treble crochet into the space next to the front post. Front post treble around the next front post treble, chain 2 and 4 trebles next to it. So now I can crochet my 15 shells, and you can crochet how many ever you calculated. Here's our first arm space, looks pretty good, with the 15 empty shells. And I will crochet my 15 shells and make the second arm space. I crocheted my 15 shells for the back of the blouse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That should leave 15 shells empty for the second arm space. Let's double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And here's the end of the round, so everything is good. And now we can make the same arm space that we did on the other side. I will chain 14 again. Then we can connect our second arm space to the beginning of the round, and we do the same way as always. Slip stitch in between the chain of 3 in the front post, and then we can start our usual round. Chain 3, front post treble around the previous one, chain 2 or 3 if you made the increase, and then 4 trebles next to the front post. I will make my 15 shells, and you can make as many shells as you did in the previous round. But please, before you continue, make sure your blouse really fits. Now you still can make changes, but look for the comfortable underarm fit. I crocheted my 15 shells all the way to the first arm space. Here's my last shell stitch in the chain space. Now let's crochet under the arm. Make a treble crochet into the chain space, and that will be a front post treble crochet in the next round. Make a chain. I will chain 2 and then scoot a little forward on the chain and make your 4 treble crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we also have 1 treble. Our chains, I made 2 chains and 4 trebles. I made 14 chains, so I have to do it one more time. Treble crochet around the chain, that will be the front post treble in the next round. Make your chain. I will chain 2 and then 4 more trebles around the chain. 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you made 21 chains, then make your shell stitch one more time. I can move on with the regular pattern. Make a front post treble crochet around the previous front post treble crochet. I will chain 2 and make my 4 trebles into the chain space. And go to the next front post treble and make your front post treble, the chains, and 4 trebles next to it. So our usual pattern. And then I will crochet the 15 shells on this side and make the other arm space exactly the same way. So here's our first chain space. If your trebles look a little wonky, you can push them around, make them look just like the other shell stitches. I crocheted the other side, also my 15 shells, and then I made the second arm space the same way as the first one. I made my treble, which is going to be the front post treble in the next round. Then I made my 2 chains and 4 trebles, and again the treble crochet, my chain of 2 and 4 trebles, and then again you can slip stitch into the front post, chain 3, make the front post treble around the previous one, make your chain and the 4 trebles next to it. So our regular pattern, front post treble, chain of 2 or 3, and 4 trebles. Once you get to the first chain space, the first arm space, skip over the 4 trebles and then go into the first treble that we made into the arm space and make your front post treble crochet around that. Then make your chain. I chain 2 and then 4 trebles next to it. So our usual pattern. And then again, skip over the 4 trebles and make your front post treble around the treble below. It's the one that kind of stands alone, so you can see it easily. Then I will chain 2 and make my 4 trebles into the space next to it. You're going to love those new rounds. They're much faster than before. So now when you're done those 4 trebles, skip the 4 below. And we already know our pattern now. Slip stitch, chain 3, front post treble, make your chains, and then 4 trebles next to it. And now you can make your blouse as long as you like. Here's how the underarm space looks at the beginning of the round. And the second arm space, I added 30 rounds, so basically I crocheted until there was no more yarn left. Now our blouse is complete. I hope you love it as much as I do, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.